to myself, I'm Malaysian, first of all, just to clarify. I worked in the UK for 10 years after studying there initially as a student, and then 10 years in the Middle East. So I've been out of Malaysia for 20 years, and after this morning's nasi lemak, I'm very happy to balik kampung. So taking on this job was not an easy decision. My background, as some of you may know, is that I studied as a lawyer. I qualified as a barrister in the UK, and now, over time, I shifted into investment banking, where I built a specialization, especially over the global financial crisis, in restructuring and rationalization, particularly of very heavily indebted companies. So when I was approached by the government of Malaysia, I had a good career and a good life in the Middle East, but this challenge of working with 1MDB was too good to refuse, in the sense that I have the professional qualifications to take on the task, and in terms of the prospects of the company and the solutions available, to me these were very clear and available for us to undertake. So that's why I came back in January this year, and that's why I'm here with all of you today. Now, in relation to 1MDB, the company was originally set up, as you know, as a strategic development company for the government of Malaysia. So we are 100% owned by the Ministry of Finance, and we are 100% owned by the government of Malaysia and the Rakyat of Malaysia. The purpose of the company, number one, was to undertake strategic initiatives for the government, to do things differently, to act as a catalyst, and also to stimulate foreign direct investment for the country. So a number of these initiatives happened over time. I think you'll be familiar with the rationalization of the IPPs, the energy businesses, where 1MDB purchased 3 different power companies, combined these power companies into one company that today generates 5,500 megawatts of energy. Secondly, the government of Malaysia owned certain strategic land parcels, amongst others 70 acres of land in Tun Razak Exchange, just down the road from us, as well as 486 acres of land in Sungai Besi. So 1MDB was given the task and the responsibility to, first of all, construct 8 new military and police bases around the country for a cost of 2.7 billion ringgit. So to relocate the armed forces and the PDRM from Sungai Besi. And secondly, to also develop the 70-acre site in Tun Razak Exchange. So 1MDB will spend close to 3 billion ringgit to put in new infrastructure and develop the land in Jalan Tun Razak. So these are very clearly key strategic development projects for the government of Malaysia, and Alhamdulillah, the company has managed to integrate the power plants, and the company has managed to develop the land plots. Along the way, the decision was made by the government to use debt, so menggunakan hutang untuk membangunkan tanah dan juga untuk membeli stesen janakuasa yang saya telah bincangkan sebentar tadi. Jadi di dalam penggunaan hutang ini ada 2 perkara yang penting. Perkara pertama, apabila kita mengambil hutang atau meminjam hutang, kita perlu membayar faedah atau interest dan juga principal. Ini menyebabkan kita berdisiplin. You need a certain discipline in order to pay back the debt. Perkara yang kedua, apabila kita mempunyai hutang, maknanya kerajaan Malaysia boleh menggunakan dana kerajaan untuk perkara lain, seperti membina sekolah, membina hospital, membina jalan raya dan sebagainya. Jadi 1MDB diilhamkan untuk melakukan perkara yang berlainan daripada syarikat kerajaan yang lain. Ya, perkaranya cara membuat bisnes itu lain, bukan seperti syarikat kerajaan yang lain-lain. Jadi ini bezanya 1MDB dengan syarikat strategik kerajaan, di mana 1MDB menggunakan hutang untuk membangunkan projek strategik yang mempunyai kesan kepada ekonomi pada masa jangka panjang. Sebagai contoh, apabila 1MDB membeli syarikat jana kuasa, 1MDB telah membida secara open tender untuk stesen jana kuasa baru. Ya, projek yang dinamakan projek 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B dan sebagainya. Di dalam setiap proses pembidaan tersebut yang dibuat secara tender, 1MDB telah mengemukakan bida atau cadangan proposal yang paling rendah, dan tarif yang digunakan oleh 1MDB ialah di dalam bentuk sen, beberapa sen untuk kilowatt hour. Jadi bila kita lihat perbezaan tu, katalah ya, di antara pembida nombor 1 dan pembida nombor 2, beza dia 1 sen. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan tahu tak 1 sen ini berapa nilainya? Untuk stesen jana kuasa 2000 megawatt dengan tempoh IPP selama 20 tahun, 1 sen pengurangan di dalam tarif adalah berjumlah 2.9 bilion ringgit. So by 1MDB being a power player and bidding at the lowest tariff by 1 cent cheaper or 2 cent cheaper, the savings to Tenaga Nasional and of course rakyat of Malaysia, a 1 cent reduction is 2.9 billion ringgit. So this shows you why 1MDB undertook certain activities in order to benefit the rakyat. So ladies and gentlemen, where are we today? We spoke about the debt in 1MDB. 1MDB telah mengambil hutang untuk melaksanakan projek. So the plan originally was for 1MDB to undertake an IPO of the energy business. So the initial date for the IPO was November 2013, and subsequently 1MDB wanted to undertake an IPO in November 2014. In both circumstances, for various reasons, internal as well as external factors, these IPOs did not happen. Ya, jadi dalam jangka masa tersebut, apabila 1MDB hendak melaksanakan IPO untuk stesen jana kuasa, pertama kali pada November 2013 dan kali kedua November 2014, disebabkan beberapa faktor dalaman dan juga faktor luaran, IPO tersebut tidak menjadi. Jadi apabila IPO tersebut tidak menjadi, timbul suatu situasi di mana hutang yang telah diambil yang mempunyai kesan jangka masa pendek, yakni faedah yang perlu dibayar pada jangka masa pendek, dan juga prinsipal yang perlu dibayar sama ada jangka masa pendek ataupun jangka masa panjang, tertimbul ketidaksepadanan. A mismatch arose between the short-term interest that needed to be paid and the principal that needed to be repaid. That is the answer, ladies and gentlemen, as to why 1MDB is facing the difficulty and the challenges that we are going through today. Now, I know that there are critics of the company who feel that there are other reasons behind this. But the reality is, the facts and the figures do not lie. Fakta tersebut boleh dilihat apabila saudara-saudari mengambil kira akaun 1 MDB, apabila kita mengambil kira jumlah hutang di 1MDB yang sebanyak 42 bilion dan juga kos faedah untuk menyelenggarakan hutang tersebut. Kos faedah untuk hutang 42 bilion ialah sebanyak 2.4 bilion ringgit setiap tahun. That is a big number, ladies and gentlemen. So if you do not reduce the debt, that interest has to be serviced. And if the company does not have sufficient cash flow to service the debt, then you have a problem. Jadi ini adalah masalah perniagaan. This is a business problem, a business challenge. And frankly, it can happen to many businesses. Ini tidak unik kepada satu MDB sahaja. Itu yang penting untuk saudara-saudari semua maklum bahawa keadaan di 1MDB berasaskan suatu idea yang baik, suatu idea yang unik, tetapi disebabkan situasi perniagaan, business challenges, IPO tidak menjadi. The IPO did not happen, and therefore we have a cash flow mismatch, which is the problem facing the company today. So, the government of Malaysia in December 2014 decided that these challenges were clear and that a solution was required. So I was approached, given my background in debt restructuring, investment banking, and reorganization of companies, to take on the challenge of assessing the problem and proposing a solution to the government of Malaysia. So as you all know, in February 2015, we proposed, we shared the outcome of a strategic review that was done by 1MDB. And Alhamdulillah, in June 2015, 1MDB presented a plan to the Cabinet of Malaysia for the rationalisation of the company. Rasionalisasi syarikat, di mana 1MDB telah mencadangkan kepada Kabinet Malaysia bahawa amount hutang dan kadar faedah yang perlu dibayar adalah terlalu tinggi untuk syarikat menjana cash flow untuk membayar hutang tersebut. So we decided that we will dispose or sell certain assets. We also decided that rather than taking funds or money from the government, we will open up the equity of some of our core projects. So for example, in Bandar Malaysia, we will allow third parties to come in and purchase equity in the company. And thirdly, to meet the short-term cash flow requirements of the company, we obtained financing, which is a loan, so hutang, sebanyak 950 million ringgit, a loan of 950 million ringgit from the government of Malaysia, to us with the short-term cash flow mismatch that we faced as a company. And we fully intend to repay this loan or to settle the loan as we go through the rationalization process. So where do we stand today, ladies and gentlemen? You would have known that for Edra Energy, our energy business, we had a number of interested bidders, so about 11 serious bidders to purchase the company. We narrowed down, we shortlisted 4 out of those 11 bidders, and I'm very proud to say that out of the 4 shortlisted bidders, 3 bidders have submitted final, binding, and fully funded proposals for 1MDB's consideration. So we are now in the process of negotiating sale and purchase agreement with these final bidders. They are also conducting confirmatory due diligence, so confirming certain key aspects of the proposal, and they will make us a best and final offer after the SPA is finalized and after the confirmatory due diligence is completed. Inshallah, we expect this to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I hope to stand before you again with some good news before the end of the year in terms of completing that transaction. Secondly, in terms of Bandar Malaysia, we have had close to 40 interested parties submitting expressions of interest to become our development partner for Bandar Malaysia. So we will sell at least 60% of our equity in Bandar Malaysia Sdn Bhd, which is the company that owns the 486 acres of land in Sungai Besi. You would have read last week, we announced that we have obtained in principle kebenaran merancang. So in principle planning approval from DBKL for the development of that site with a gross development ratio of 4.05 for that entire site. What does that mean? What does 4.05 means? It means that for that given land area, 486 acres, we can build gross floor area, we can construct 486 acres times 43,560 square feet times 4.05 built up in or on that plot. I know that's a lot of numbers. I'm sure I'll give you some excitement to work that out. Long and short of it, there is a lot of gross development value, GDV value, based on that in principle kebenaran merancang that we have obtained from DBKL. So the attractiveness of Bandar Malaysia is unrivaled. There is no other plot of land in Kuala Lumpur of that size and with that development potential, especially given high-speed rail terminus being at Bandar Malaysia, especially given the confirmation by the government of Malaysia that MRT Line 2 will also go through Bandar Malaysia. We are working with BRT, Bus Rapid Transit, as well as with ERL, Express Rail Link to KLIA, and also with KTM Commuter. All these public transport modes will be at Bandar Malaysia. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That means Bandar Malaysia will be a transport-oriented development, unlike anything else you have seen in Malaysia. And that is why we had 40 bidders interested. We have shortlisted them down to 4. I can confirm to you that of the 4, 3 bidders are very likely to submit their final bids. 2 of those bidders involve a foreign consortium. One of the bidder is local. And inshallah, in the next 7 to 10 days, we should receive final binding and funded proposals for Bandar Malaysia Sdn Bhd. And you can just calculate, based on 486 acres of land, 500 ringgit per square foot, what the value of that land would be. I'll make your life simple. It's about 11.5 billion ringgit, paling kurang, and probably more, depending on how those bidders look at the value of the land. So we've just discussed the 2 key planks of the rationalization plan. So the first is a sale of our equity in Edra Energy Sdn Bhd, and our target of debt reduction is between 16 to 18 billion ringgit for the sale of Edra. Secondly, we will sell a portion of our equity in Bandar Malaysia Sdn Bhd. We will sell around 60% of that equity and the value of that land is very clear. It is at least 11.5 billion ringgit, and inshallah we will get bidders or higher prices than that. The final piece of our rationalization plan, ladies and gentlemen, is a debt for equity swap with IPIC. Yeah, so we will hand over to IPIC certain US dollar cash deposits of 1MDB. I think all of you are aware of these cash deposits, as well as the remainder of our US dollar fund units that we have invested in. So a combination of the cash deposits, US dollar cash deposits, US dollar fund units will be swapped with IPIC of Abu Dhabi, who have in fact guaranteed our bonds. So by doing this debt for asset swap, IPIC will take over, they will take over our bonds, $3.5 billion, and we will hand over, or we will give them our cash deposits and US dollar fund units by way of settlement. There is no intention whatsoever to give away equity in EDRA or Bandar Malaysia for that debt for asset swap. By doing so, we will again reduce the debt of 1MDB, inshallah, when that happens, by another 16 billion ringgit. And our objective legally, based on the legal document we have signed with IPIC, is to complete the debt for asset swap by the latest June 2016. But of course, we would like to do that as soon as possible, as soon as we can. So, what is the summary, ladies and gentlemen? The summary is sale of EDRA, 16 to 18 billion ringgit, sale of equity in Bandar Malaysia, up to 11 or 12 billion ringgit, and thirdly, debt for asset swap with IPIC, 16 billion ringgit. If you add all that up, you will see that the debt reduction at 1MDB is up to 42 billion ringgit. And remember, we still own our land in TRX, we still own our land in Air Hitam, Penang, over 200 acres, and we still own the land in Pulau Indah, 318 acres. And this is why I have always said that the assets of 1MDB are higher than the debt of 1MDB. So, why am I here today? I think you would have seen that a lot of critics of the company keep on demanding answers despite us explaining each time what was done in the past, why was it done in the past, what is the challenge facing us today, and what is the plan or the solution to solve that challenge. Ever since I took on this job in January, daripada bulan Januari lagi, saya telah memberi beberapa temu ramah sama ada dengan akhbar ataupun dengan TV, bukan sahaja kepada akhbar-akhbar tempatan, malah juga stesen antarabangsa seperti Business Times Singapura, Reuters, Financial Times dan BBC. Jadi adalah tidak betul dan tidak tepat untuk menyatakan bahawa 1MDB hanya memberi jawapan kepada soalan mudah atau soalan daripada media massa kerajaan. Semua interview atau press conference atau soalan yang telah ditujukan kepada saya adalah secara terbuka. Sama ada Malaysia Kini, sama ada Malaysian Insider. Saya juga telah bertemu dengan akhbar The Edge, dan saudara-saudari semua telah melihat soalan yang telah ditujukan dan juga jawapan yang telah diberi. Baru-baru ini saya telah bertemu dengan ahli daripada MCA. Sebelum ini saya telah bertemu dengan ahli daripada UMNO, MIC belum jemput saya lagi, tapi kalau dia jemput, insyaAllah saya akan pergi. Dan saya dengan terbuka, seperti mana dengan saudara-saudari pada pagi ini, telah menjawab soalan tersebut. Saudara-saudari baru hari itu nampak saya bersama dengan bernama. Dan soalan yang telah dituju oleh bernama. Daripada kes Petro Saudi, kepada cerita mengenai Jolo dan sebagainya, kami telah menjawab. Saudara-saudari juga pasti telah melihat buklet atau buku yang telah dikeluarkan oleh JASA, Jabatan Hal Ehwal Khas, di mana 1MDB telah menjawab secara terperinci dengan menggunakan fakta dan numbers, figures, untuk menunjukkan apa yang telah berlaku, apa yang telah dilaksanakan, dan apa resolusi atau solution yang kami hendak bangkitkan. Jadi, kenapa masih terdapat soalan oleh pihak pembangkang terutamanya? Kenapa masih ada soalan daripada beberapa mantan pemimpin yang dulunya bersama kerajaan? Walaupun kami telah daripada Januari tahun ini menjawab sama ada melalui press statement, media statement di atas di website 1MDB, pada last countnya sebanyak 72 press statement, lebih daripada 2 setiap minggu kadang-kadang, dan juga bertemu dengan media secara terbuka untuk memberi jawapan dan sebagainya. Baru-baru ini Tony Pua telah mencabar saya untuk masuk kepada talk show, kadang-kadang orang cakap talk show, kadang-kadang debat dan sebagainya, kerana beliau berpendapat bahawa soalan yang sukar atau rumit tidak ditujukan kepada 1MDB. Jadi YB Tony Pua telah mengatakan beliau hendak bertanya soalan kepada saya mengenai perkara tersebut. Saya telah menerima cabaran YB Tony Pua secara terbuka, tetapi dengan satu syarat sahaja. YB Tony Pua adalah ahli kepada PAC, Public Accounts Committee. PAC sedang menjalankan penyiasatan terhadap 1MDB. PAC is investigating 1MDB. Maknanya dia sebagai hakim, he is going to judge 1MDB in the testimony, in the answers that we are going to give to the PAC. So I said, if you have integrity and to avoid conflict of interest and to make sure that the PAC proceedings are above board without reproach, the right thing to do, if you are a man, is to stand down from the PAC. Itu suatu syarat yang munasabah. Bagaimana katakan saudara-saudari dihadapkan di mahkamah bersama dengan hakim dan sebagainya. Bagaimana situasi tersebut kalau hakim yang akan bersidang di mahkamah bertemu dengan saudara-saudari on TV untuk berdebat mengenai kes tersebut? Tidak masuk akal. So, I just made that request. But of course, YB Tony Pua, just like any other opposition members, has a different rule for him and a different rule for others. Mana boleh? We have to be correct and fair and above board in everything that we do. Despite that, ladies and gentlemen, despite my asking for a very reasonable condition, today I stand before you openly to say to YB Tony Pua that I hereby withdraw my condition. So, saya akan berjumpa dengan YB Tony Pua tanpa syarat sama sekali pun. I will meet YB Tony Pua for a live televised discussion or talk show or debate, he can choose, without any condition. I'm very grateful to RTM and the Minister of Communications who have kindly offered to host this show or talk show on a live basis, and I look forward to having that discussion on the soonest possible basis so that we can answer all the questions that YB Tony Pua is going to put to us. Ya, jadi saudara-saudari, saya ingin nyatakan bahawa 1MDB bersedia untuk soal jawab bersama YB Tony Pua tanpa syarat, dan kami mengalu-alukan offer yang telah dibuat oleh RTM supaya 1MDB boleh membuat penyiaran secara langsung secepat mungkin supaya kami dapat menjawab soalan-soalan yang akan ditujukan oleh YB Tony Pua tanpa sebarang syarat. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just stop here for now, and I would open up to questions. Just before that, let me take you back very quickly to recap the 1MDB story. So 1MDB was set up with some very good ideas to act as a catalyst, to stimulate foreign direct investment, and to do things differently as a strategic development company for the government of Malaysia. The idea was a good idea. A decision was made very early on to use debt in order to fund the company. And there were two reasons for using debt. The first was to create discipline, and the second was to allow government funds to be used for other development purposes, such as schools, hospitals, roads, and so on. Along the way, as the company developed and added debt in order to buy assets, certain challenges were faced. The biggest challenge was the inability to undertake an IPO of the energy business, first in November 2013, secondly in November 2014. This challenge resulted in a cash flow mismatch, so ketidaksepadanan aliran tunai, and that cash flow mismatch resulted in a difficulty in servicing interest, paying debt, as well as funding the infrastructure commitments of the company. The government of Malaysia realized these challenges, was very open about it, and we implemented a rationalization plan that was approved by the Cabinet of Malaysia in June 2015. And inshallah, with your support and the support of the bidders who are now looking to purchase some or all of our assets, we will be able to pay down the debt, substantially reduce the debt, stabilize the company, and put it on a sound footing. So thank you again. I really appreciate your time and your coming here today. And I now like to take some questions. I think our moderator is over here.